Hey guys, Kitchen Table Magician here, and welcome to 6-pack of MTG. No, this is not a Miller product. Each episode we'll get a little bit tipsy cracking 6 packs of Magic the Gathering. I'm going to evaluate the card pool and build a sealed deck and kind of go through the steps and what you should look for, what you should avoid, and try and build the best sealed deck possible. This week's featured set is Amonkhet, also in the spirit of sealed magic. When I open the first pack, I think we'll evaluate that as well as if it were a draft and it was your first pack of the draft, and we can look through the cards, rate the cards, and I will make a first pick. So, without further ado, let's do this. Alright, so let's open our first pack and see if we get anything spicy. Wow. Go any slower? Oh, fresh magic cards. Nothing smells finer. Okay. Naga Oracle. If we're drafting, this is not a first pick. It costs 4. It's 2/4. It's not real aggressive. Later in the cube, or later, not in the cube, but later in the draft, this might be something. Tormenting Voice. For 2 mana, you get to draw a couple of cards. If you're running red aggro, this is actually pretty good, but I don't think it's first pickable. Supply Caravan, 3/5 for 5 mana, plus you get a white warrior, so you get a little bit wide. Still, I don't think this is a first pickable card. What you're looking for is a bomb or a really good piece of removal, maybe something with evasion. Illusory Wrappings could be first pickable if we don't see any other bombs or anything good creature-wise. When you're drafting, creatures are always the thing, right? But this could be a definite piece of pseudo removal, right? So I'll put this aside. Colossapede, 5/5 for 5 mana. This is definitely a bomb. In a sealed format, I think anything with 4 power or more is definitely worth calling a bomb. Not sure if it's first pickable, but we'll set it aside. Scarab Feast, exile 3 cards from a graveyard. This is pretty niche. I wouldn't first pick this. This is more of a sideboard. River Serpent, 5/5 for 6, another bomb. It costs a little bit more than the Colossapede, so probably not first pick, although it does cycle for 1. Compulsory Rest. Okay, this is another piece of somewhat removal. It's the pacifism effect for Amonkhet. Probably not first pickable in this pack, but maybe second or third pickable if you get into these colors. Sunscorched Desert. This is garbage. I would just pass on this. It can't target creatures with its damage. It's generic mana, so there's no color fixing value here. I just don't see any value in this card. Gate to the Afterlife. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you gain a life, and then you may draw a card, and if you do, discard a card. Sacrifice this, search for a card named God Pharaoh's Gift, which we don't know what that is yet, so this is going to be garbage for a draft, but could be really spicy when Hour of Devastation comes out. We'll see. Alright, Flameblade Adept, a 1-drop, 1/2, Menace. When you cycle or discard a card, this gets +1/+0 till the end of turn. Alright, this is a fair card. It's still not a bomb, but later on, if you get into this aggro strategy, this is a fantastic card, but I wouldn't first pick it. Okay, Trial of Zeal. This is removal. 3 points of removal to damage to a creature or player, plus if you play a cartouche, you can put this back in your hand. This is definitely potentially first pickable. Alright, and our rare in the pack is Sandwurm Convergence for 7 mana. Creatures with flying can't attack you or planeswalkers you control, and at the beginning of your end step, create a 5/5 green worm. Okay, this is what I'm talking about when I say you're looking for a bomb. If you can play this in a sealed environment and it sticks around for a few turns, you're probably just going to win the game. This is my first pick, and I think the Trial of Zeal would probably be my second pick out of this pack. All right. Oh, wow. And we didn't get quite far enough in. I still think the Sandwurm Convergence is the first pick, but holy crap, we have a foiling Nissa. Are you kidding me? How cool is that? Scry 2 for +2. Look at the top card of your library. If it's a land or a creature card with a converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of loyalty counters on Nissa, you may put that card on the battlefield. Untap up to 2 target lands you control. They become 5/5 elementals with creatures, flyers with haste. And it's okay, this is also a bomb, so this would be a tough pick. I still think the Sandworms are better because they're in 1 color, but what the hell? That's pretty cool. All right, and then we got a full art swamp to back it up. All right, so that's pack 1. All right, let's open these other 5 real quickly. I'm just going to go through them and look at the sauce real quick, and then, as Jeremy would say on MTH headquarters. So we've got a Warfare Javelineer, Time to Reflect, Spring to Mind, and a Vizier of Many Faces. This is the clone that embalms, and an island. All right. What I'll do after we open these packs is I will sort these cards out and we'll build a deck out of this and see what we come up with. All right, pack 3 is a cancel. Oh, going through stuff. I'm just going to go through the uncommons real quick. Protection of Heckma. Yeah. Decimator Beetle. Crocodile of the Crossing. And a Cascading Cataract. So this is some serious mana fixing here. Holy cow. And a Plains. All right, off to the sauce. We got a Ruthless Sniper, an Angler Drake, that's a bomb. Honored Crop Captain, I see a foily something or other back there. A Heart-Piercing Manticore, 4/3 for 4, and it embalms. And it's a removal, nice, and a foily Shimmerscale Drake. Sweet, okay. Pack 5. Pack 5, pack 5, pack 5. So once you've identified some of the bombs, which we still got a little ways to go here. Oh, a Harvest Season. Oh, look at that, a Harvest Season. Okay, I sense a future episode of Strange Brew right here. I am totally doing one. This says search your library for X basic land cards, where X is the number of tapped creatures you control, and put those lands onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. This is going to be a very, in the near future, an episode of Strange Brew. Please watch out for that. And our last pack, for our last pack, we've got a Lord of the Accursed. This is really good. Not necessarily in a sealed environment like this, but definitely in draft, and certainly if you're building zombie tribal decks outside of draft. The Vizier of Deferment, another Angler Drake. So we have 2 of these. Nice. All right, I have Patra, the Vizier of Poisons. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. When you put 1 or more of those on a creature, create a 1/1 green snake. And a foily Scribe of the Mindful. Alright, so that's real quick pack openings. And when we come back, I will show you how to build a deck. Okay, so the first step after you've opened all your packs is to sort all your cards out into the respective colors and find the cards that are going to be the most playable and just in an envelope are the better cards, and then rank your colors accordingly. Also, the first thing I like to do is evaluate my lands and see if I've got any mana fixing. So we'll start with my lands here. I pulled 3 lands. The only one that does any mana fixing for me is the Painted Bluff. So that determines whether or not you might be able to splash a 3rd color. For this mix, it's going to be unlikely that I would splash a 3rd color. I did get some good mana fixing in green, so I still might be able to splash into a 3rd color if I want to, but I think I'm going to try and stay in 2 colors. All right, so my weakest color for this card pool was white. In white, there were no bombs, very little in the way of removal or board control. There was a Compulsory Rest and a Fan Bearer, and that was about it. A couple of zombies, a couple of really zombie tribal specific cards, but not enough support for them. So I am going to eliminate white from my card pool. Black had a bomb in Horror of the Broken Lands, and also had a fine piece of removal. It exiles a creature, but again, that was it. Another zombie specific card, but just not enough support in the card mix for it. So I'm also going to cut black from this pool. Okay, so red had some more things going for it in this pool. It had a Trial of Zeal, which is a nice piece of removal, an Electrify, which is a nice piece of removal, a Desert Ceradon, which is a decent bomb with cycling, and a Heart-Pierced Manticore, which is also a pretty decent bomb with it, and it has Embalm and works as a piece of removal. And after that, it was okay, but not strong enough for me to consider it as being one of my core colors. But there are still a few things in here that I might consider splashing, so I'll set that aside and put those in for consideration. All right, so my best two colors were green and blue. Green had some nice mana fixing, curved out really well mana curve wise, 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, all the way up, little something everywhere. Had a few pretty good bombs. We already saw the Sandwurm Convergence from the first pack. So that's probably what I'm going to rely on as a game finisher, hopefully, and be able to build into that. So really good assortment of creatures, some decent spells, and then, of course, blue. Actually, it only had one decent spell, just the Cartouche of Strength, but it's a good piece of removal. Then blue, same story. Nice mana curve, decent creatures, lots of them, a couple of really good bombs, 2 Angler Drakes, some good removal, some good card draw. So green and blue are going to be the two colors that I'm going to try and stay in. And if I think I need to splash red, I can do that. So then, after you've decided that, then evaluate your gold cards. Honored Crop Captain, we obviously won't be playing. It's not in our colors. This is Black-Green Bomb, but again, black just didn't have the support. Another black-green card, but I just don't have the support for this. Okay, this we could potentially play. This is mana fixing and card draw, and it's in both of our colors. I'll set that off to the side. But then, of course, you knew I opened a foily Nissa, Steward of Elements. You knew I was going to have to try and play with this, right? So I was lucky that this card pool just naturally formed into these two colors. So obviously that's going to be in my card pool. Then the last thing we do is just look at artifacts real quick. The only one that I think I would consider playing would be the Edifice of Authority, which is actually reminds me a little bit of an Icy Manipulator. It's not quite an Icy, but or like a Maze of Ith effect. It will lock your opponent's largest creature out of combat every turn. So this is worth playing, I think, in pretty much any deck. Other than that, I have a Gate to the Afterlife, which I might get a little card draw out of here and then, but I don't think it's worth putting in. I just don't have the support for it. Honed Kopeshas and a Luxor River Shrine. Luxor River Shrine, I think, is garbage. And the Honed Kopesh, I'm just not playing that kind of a deck, so I won't play with these. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and build a deck, and then we'll go through it in the next segment here. Okay, so you've sorted all your cards, weeded out, narrowed yourself down to a couple of colors, and now you've built your deck. Sealed decks are 40 cards, and the mix of lands, creatures, and spells ratio, you usually want to run like 17 to 18 lands in a 40-card sealed deck, depending on your mana curve. And you're probably looking for like 17 to 18 creatures, and then just round out the rest with good removals or a bomb spell or two if you have that. So my deck build for this project came in at 17 lands, but only 15 creatures, which might be a little bit low, but I tried to build this thing grindy enough that it should be able to stick around and get into the late game. So you want to make sure you curve out well. So start with early 1-drops, 2 or 3 of those, get into your 2-drops. Now, the Shimmerscale Drake and the Greater Sandwurm are here because they cycle for 2, so I can do that on turn 2. And then just work your way up the chain until you get into your bomby stuff. But don't pack your deck with too many bombs and not enough early game things, because you don't want to have all these powerful cards in your deck and then just get beat out early because you just couldn't maintain any kind of an early board state. So be careful of that. Make sure you can maintain an early board state. So my build is 2 Oashra's Cultivators, which are 1-drops, 0/3s, can gum up the board early and are also mana fixing, can go get you land. A Slither Blade, 1/2 unblockable for 1. For 2 mana, I have a Tah-Crop Skirmisher, 2/1, and an Embalm, so I can bring it back later. Bitterblade Warrior, which I can give Death Touch to if I exert it, so that's good. The Shimmerscale Drake, which I will probably more than likely cycle out if I get it early, but later in the game I have a nice flyer if I need it. The Sandwurm will definitely, probably 95% of the time, get cycled, and that's okay, that's why it's here. But late, if I need a big body, I have one. Okay, Hooded Brawler is my first 3-drop creature. I can exert it for +2/+2, so that's potentially 5 points of damage coming in on turn 4. Then the first piece of removal I put in the deck is the Illusory Wrappings. A creature gets base power and toughness of 0/2 as an aura. And I have a cancel in here, which should just help me maintain some board control and control of the board state. And also probably protect my largest bomb when that comes out. Maybe save that for that. Cartouche of Strength, which is an aura, but it is a piece of removal if you play it right. it is removal, so you're not going to get 2 for 1 by playing an aura, which is the biggest danger with playing auras. And then the only artifact I put in was Edifice of Authority, which, like I said already, acts a little bit like an Icy Manipulator or a Maze of Ith. It will keep your opponent's largest creature out of combat every turn. So good grindy, board statey kind of a card to just keep you alive. Spring, early in the game, is a piece of mana ramp, and late in the game, it's some card draw at instant speed, so no downside here. Okay, then of course we have the foily Nissa of Steward of Elements. You knew I was going to play with this. There's no way around it. This is way too cool. So this is one of my early bombs. I put her in the 3 slot because the earliest I would ever play her is at 3 mana. Okay, then we go up to 4. I have the clone that embalms. So this is a potential bomb. The Crocodile the Crossing, 5/4 haste for 4, as long as you put a -1/-1 counter someplace else. Giant Spider, this is just a nice board state, gum up the board creature, 2/4 with reach. Okay, then we move up to a mana cost of 5, and this is a 5/5 Colossapede, so this is just a nice beater for the mid game. And Shefet Moniter, I put in the 4 slot because of the cycling. I'll probably cycle it more than I play it to get the land and the card, but later in the game, if I just need a beater on the table, I have that option. Then, of course, the All-Star 2 Angler Drakes. That is a crazy pull for a sealed card pull to have 2 Angler Drakes. These are going to be rock stars in this deck. 4/4 flying for 6 mana, plus you get to return another creature to its owner's hand when this comes into play. So very swingy. 2 of those. And then at the top of my mana curve for 8 mana is the Sandwurm Convergence, which we saw earlier from the first pack. And this is a huge bomb. Like I said, if you play this and it sticks around a few turns, you're just going to win the game. So then I just rounded it out with basic lands because I didn't get any real mana fixing in my land pool or duels or anything like that. I went a little heavier on the islands because the only 2 green card that I have in here, or double green, is the Sandwurm Convergence. I want to rely on the islands to get into my 2 Angler Drakes and my cancel. So that's the build I put together. Some honorable mentions and stuff that I really thought about. The Benefaction of Ronus for some card draw to get a creature and an enchantment could potentially let you get your big bomby enchantment that you want for your finisher, but I ultimately weeded it out. Winds of Rebuke, this is a piece of instant speed boomerang effect, but I don't have any way to really support the other part of it, which is putting 2 cards in my graveyard. I only have like 1 or 2 in creatures that embalm, so if I find that I'm a little light on creatures, I still have a few options here in a Quarry Hauler, a River Serpent, a Naga Oracle, and a Scribe of the Mindful. So I still have a few options here that I could put in another creature if I felt that I need to do that. And then what I really him-hawed about was the Trial of Zeal as a splash, because I am running the Cartouche of Strength and I have access to the Cartouche of Knowledge. So I really him-hawed about that. It was in and then it was out. I had more than enough ways to go get the mountain that would be required to support this, but at the end of the day I decided to leave it out and not splash that, but I can change my mind if I decide I really need that piece of direct damage. So that was the build out of this card pool. Let me know what you thought of this video. If you like it, thumbs up, subscribe, leave comments down below, what you might have done differently, what else you might have tried, what could have been done better. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.